Hey guys, welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. Tonight is May the 7th, 2022. Almost got that wrong this time. And this is episode 108 of the Workshop Podcast. So, welcome back, folks. It's good to have you. It is a wonderful, beautiful Saturday. Spent the day outside in the sun, having fun. So, first off, let's knock out the announcements. Tonight, like I said before, we're going to chat about, I got three questions that were sent to me through different avenues, kind of different things about social media. So we're going to chat about that down the road. We'll get some announcements out of the way. And then Saturdays, as you guys know, the episode tends to be a little more laid back. So I've been trying to come up with a name for what I would call it. But I believe from now on Saturdays, I'm going to do a segment called This Week in the Workshop. And it's just kind of a recounting of what I've been up to, some of the projects. If you got questions about it, fill you in. But it's a cool way to kind of decompress at the end of the week, share the accomplishments I've done, and mention some things to you guys that I've probably forgot to mention. So first off, this week, hey, Joseph Mills, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. So first off, two quick announcements to get out of the way. Number one, and I will just keep pushing this, and you guys will love to hear it. Hey, Nate, good to have you. Join the Telegram group. If you aren't there yet, I think we're 2 members away from hitting the century mark, 100. We've got a good-sized crew over there, but more importantly, we have a really good, encouraging, building up crew. It's an electronic get shit done kind of thing. We've had some people in there bringing up some business ideas, just all around great encouragement. Help somebody fix, or at least attempt to fix, a chicken coop roof today. So there's always something on the go, but it's the best place to keep up with everybody in the workshop community, ask questions, and find out all the goings on. Number two, if you're wondering, hey, I wonder if Tim's ever reviewed this tool or that tool, or I wonder if he has a recommendation for this, quickest way to find it, go to toolmantim.shop. There, right now, this winter, I spent quite a bit of time adding a bunch more products. We got way over 200. I'm going to guess it's close to 250 at this point. Bunch of things I've reviewed, I've used and abused. Anyway, so that's the quickest way to start to figure out whether I have. I mean, you can always ask me too, no problem. But the big thing about that is, number one, it's got the Toolman Tim seal of approval. But if you're starting your shopping there, whatever you buy through Amazon over the next 24 hours will end up helping me or helping support the content that I create. So that's great. Now that makes sense. Nate said that was a shed roof. Now I understand why it wasn't a chicken coop roof. So that is awesome. So we got a few people in here tonight. Let's say hello. Joseph's here. Nate's here. Know Your Joe. How you doing? 30-day review. Justin, how are you? John Palmer, great to have you. My brother from another mother, Brian and the Lots Project. We already talked today. Good to have you. Martinson family, also great. Man, yes, love it. All right. Now, today's tool. That is the next section. This one is great. It's the SMAK Digital Instant Read Meat Thermometer, and SMAK is SMAK. SMAK. There's a bunch of them on Amazon. They're all kind of designed the same. I've tested a few, but 2 years ago, last month, is when I first picked one of those up, and it absolutely changed my grilling game. It makes chicken breast better on the barbecue, and it most certainly makes my steaks better. So yes, you were absolutely, yeah, I know you have to be kind of careful there, don't you, Justin? So anyway, from there, yeah, so if you're looking for that, links are in the description if you want to run on by and check things out. All right, so from here, this week in the workshop, what do we have? What are we going to chat about? Number one, I made the absolute best, hey, James Richter, how are you, of my rain day. So yesterday morning, I ended up scheduling myself in the, I don't even know how to put it. I scheduled myself ass backwards. So that was what I ended up running into. So from there, what I ended up doing was I had scheduled doing some work in the afternoon and some computer work in the morning. First day I had some chance to do it. Guess what it did? Sunny in the morning, rain in the afternoon. So that was the backwards. So what I ended up doing was I spent the entire rain day on the computer. So what did I do? Well, I reached out to a whole bunch of potential guests for the podcast. So I'm excited about that, and reached out to a bunch of tool companies. Now, of course, it was Friday afternoon. So, as far as the tool companies go, well, we'll see. I've been looking to test out a bunch of new stuff that I would love to share some thoughts on. Hey, Zachariah, who else? We got Liberty all day. James Richter, nice to see you. So, anyway, reached out to them. But the guests, I am excited. I can't believe how many people. So, I must have reached, I had a list of probably 16 or 18 guests because I'm looking to fill the next 3 months worth of spots. I filled that in. I can't believe how many people have got back to me. There's a few that are working on that. And so I've made some connections with some really cool people that haven't, they said they'll come on. We just haven't committed to a date yet. So we can't chat about those. But the ones that I can review or mention at this point, you guys have seen A American. I am excited. Special day, special time. But A American, known as Chris Weatherman, he is the author of the Going Home book series. He's been featured on, hey, Corey, how are you? I want to say he was featured on, no, I'm not sure. Anyway, he's been featured on a few shows. He's working on a TV adaptation of this, and absolutely so excited to have him. So number one, that's a huge get for our workshop, guys. Yeah, it's going to be big. We're going to use it to chat with him. We're going to get our brand out there. It's just going to be awesome. I am super excited. Number two, I got Rick Austin from Prepper Camp coming on. If you guys don't know Rick, he's a really cool dude. He runs the largest outdoor prepper expo, prepper gathering in, I want to say the country, but I can't say the country because I don't live there, in the US. He's an author. He's been on Doomsday Preppers and a whole bunch of other TV shows that are a lot more down to earth than Doomsday Preppers is. But just an awesome, awesome guy that I've interacted with. So he's coming on right away in the future. We got Donald Young. He's a paramedic instructor. He's going to come on. We've got Dave and Mary from Liberty Late Night. You guys remember a couple of months back, I was on their show. We had too much bourbon to drink and had a great time. They're going to come on. I got a feeling we'll probably end up chatting about movies. And said he's heard of Steve Austin. Yes, maybe he's Rick's brother. I'm not sure. If the Lots Project's asked in North America, I could have said that because guaranteed there's no bigger prepper expo in Canada, right? So, yeah, that's the one I'm going to be speaking at in September in North Carolina. So I'm rather excited. Yeah, so Dave and Mary from Liberty Late Night, they're coming on. We're going to do kind of a joint thing where they're going to come on and chat with me for an hour or so, and then we're going to bump over to their Sunday night movie night. They have just an awesome thing. I think they're doing it on Twitch right now until Float figures itself out, but they're going to be great. And then, like I said, I've got a few more that are this close to finalizing. As soon as I hear about them or get a confirmation back from them, I'll send them along to you. Now, what did I do today? Well, you guys have heard me say 1,000 times that you got to make a mess to fix a mess. And I got a message this morning from Brian from the Lots Project. And he was wondering he was looking for a guest, right? So it was really, so anyway, his guest didn't show up. Not really sure what happened there. Not a big deal at all, but he was in a bind. So me and Scramblin' Bojangles ended up popping on there with him. We had a great conversation. We talked about keto and pie, completely unrelated, and a whole bunch of other rhubarb. I can't even remember what else. We had a great conversation. So check his podcast out over there. We had a lot of fun. I literally got my ass out of bed, had my coffee, was getting ready to write my notes, still wearing my painting t-shirt. So, and I hopped on the live stream. So we had a great time. But I told him I could only give him an hour because my son and I had planned the whole day thanks, Martinson. We'd planned the whole day to clean out our storage containers and make a mess to fix a mess. Well, we ended up doing really well. So it was time to purge some stuff. We put it out to the curb, posted it online, and about 75% of the stuff was gone before I had to take it to the landfill. So that made me rather happy. We spent some time organizing quite a bit, and now it's hard to believe that you pay for 2 storage containers because you think they're both full, and when you rearrange everything, now they're each about a quarter full. One's at the house, one's downtown. So the more important stuff is now up at the house. But I was going to take some videos, some pictures. I'm like, you know what? I'll just tell you the story about it because we had a lot of fun. But yeah, it was a good day. Me and the son spent a lot of time, made one dump run, got that shit out of the way. Beyond that, fireside freedom. I don't want to be that guy and tease something that I can't tell you about, but I'm going to be that guy and tease something that I can't quite tell you about. But we've got something really exciting coming up Tuesday. If you've seen the thumbnails getting thrown out there, it's basically raking over the coals. That's about all I can tell you yet. But it was something that grew out of the spring workshop at LFTN. Corey says, be that guy. I am. When I say I don't want to be that guy, it's just a polite way of saying I'm going to be an asshole either way. But anyway, yeah, so this is something that sprung out of LFTN, a conversation that was had, and I'm super excited. Anyway, tune in Tuesday night. It's going to be great. What else? Yeah, so the next thing I got to tell you, and I'm going to chat at the end. You guys are probably tired of hearing me talk about the LFTN spring workshop. First one I ever went to. But it's been a week later, and I'm going to do a few more final thoughts about that. Because now that it's been a week since we left the Holler Homestead, I realized, you know what? We have learned, there's more lessons we learned than I realized. A day out, there's some things, it takes a little while for things to fit in. So, yeah. And Liberty All Day, that's Letty Lou. She says, we are grilling something up for Tuesday on Fireside Freedom. Absolutely. And my buddy Nate says, running around all day. Got rabbit cages picked up and shed rearranged. Then got the new fence set up for the hens. Yeah, and he ended up picking up, I believe it was a cage, wasn't it, Nate? If it was, give me a thumbs up. Doesn't matter. But yeah, I'm sure that's what he said. That was a killer deal for our little buddy rabbits, right? So yeah, I cannot believe how much cool stuff I have seen come out of LFTN. I'm going to chat a little bit more about that, but I just had to mention it first thing before we got going into the show. I love seeing people get shit done. I love seeing people get motivated. I know Letty says her mind is still racing post LFTN. It is. Yes, absolutely. And so I'm going to chat a little more about it after, but I just had to say there's some really cool stuff happening. Mentioned about Brian's the Lots project this morning. And if you're not subbed to Brian, make sure you do. Two more things. Number one, I'm always throwing out my ideas out there. If you guys listened to the after party live stream I was on earlier this week, had a lot of fun there. And I believe I maybe started talking about this a little bit on there. But I have this idea of doing a masterclass style course on public speaking, content creation, and live streaming. Basically, it would be a virtual way to get better at public speaking. Eliminating all of the things that I have worked really hard on. Took 2 years, 4 courses in university on public speaking, and I've spent a lot of time at it. And I think I'm pretty damn good at it. And I would love to share that kind of information with people. So we're looking at, I don't know. Anyway, it's going to be down the road, probably toward the end of the year, something like 15 people in it. I'll help set up my vision for it is to see at the end of everything, at the end of, say, a 13-week course, I set you up with an in-person, in-flesh speech somewhere in your local area. So it would be like at a public office or at a library. Anyway, that would be my job to set it up. And if you go through with the public speech at the end, you'd get a rebate or a kickback off of what you spent to sign up for the course. I'm kind of excited, and thank you, Corey. I appreciate that. So I'm running around in my head, but you guys know I'm big on putting things out there. And I'll give you a quick update. I'm all over the place tonight, but it's been a good day. Give you a quick update on the coffee. It didn't do anything while I was on vacation. We got right to the very last idea that let's see. So there was one step left. The website, everything's up there. The shopping cart just doesn't work. The people who take care of my back end stuff messaged me while I was on vacation and said, we can have a Zoom meeting if you want to. And I said, you know what? Let's just leave it till I get back from vacation and we'll deal with it. So Monday morning, hopefully the Canadian Coffee Company will be finally 100% up and running. I am excited. Cool. So, that is awesome. So we've got, let's see. So, yeah, Corey says I could possibly talk. She said, I would consider taking your class. And Brian says, that idea is fantastic. I've been rolling around in my head. Thanks, Brian. It's just fun, Letty says, oh, wow, that sounds cool, Tim. Public speaking is so damn hard. It's been something I've been working on for years. It is. And it's not something I remember the very first time I had to do. I want to say it was a 1 to 3 minute speech in Introduction to Oral Communications, my first semester of my freshman year, and I was scared shitless. So it happens. We all have to learn. And I've got a guy coming on later on, late in the summer. We're going to chat about public speaking and a bunch of stuff too. It's another guy I met at the spring workshop that I had no idea was such an expert on that area. And we got talking, and I'm like, we need to do a little mini roundtable discussion. So Corey says, I could possibly talk my boss into having you do a class for our department too. I never even thought of something like that, Corey. That would be awesome. Well, see, this is why I put things out there, because I love our damn community. So thanks, guys. You guys are just as encouraging to me. Hopefully, I think you're more encouraging to me than I try to be to you. So I appreciate it. And John says, I hate talking in front of others. So did I, my friend. And I think it's like, I don't even know how to put it. But the biggest thing, the only way to get over something like that is to do it. And that seems so damn simple and stupid. And people are like, why do you have to say that? But it absolutely is. So number one, you have to do it. But number two, if you can be empowered from somebody who's encouraging and knows the ins and the outs of public speaking, then you might just have a better chance of succeeding, right? Letty says, I found out I had the fear when I stood up in front of 400 sorority sisters at convention running for office. Yeah, that was tough. So I've been working on it the past 6 years. Yes, and it is. It just takes time. And one last this week in the workshop update. It was really good. So keto day 4. You guys probably watched some of our exploits on vacation, and you know that we definitely did not eat keto for the last whatever. All I can say is physically yesterday was a miserable, miserable day. So I'm saying that so that you guys know that I am serious about getting back on the bandwagon. I even found myself a, how do you want to put it? A little keto buddy who can be my accountability partner. And we're going to chat back and forth and hopefully that'll help. But 4 days in and I've been super happy about it, and I'm feeling better. All I can tell you is I'm sure that whatever ended up happening, I've already lost 10 pounds. Let's put it that way. Corey says, seriously, she asked us all to do a presentation and half the department broke out on anxiety and panic. Yeah, because most people have never had the opportunity to be exposed to it. It's like flying, for instance. You know, if you've never flown before, of course you're going to be nervous. But the more times you fly, the more comfortable, for the most part, you're going to get. And it's that way with a lot of things, for sure. Nate says, we don't like public speaking. So what did we do? We started the podcast. Amen, brother. You know, I hadn't spoke live in front of people in a long time, so I started live streaming. And when I went to LFTN, I felt I was nervous again. I won't lie, because it had been quite a few years since I'd gotten up in front of a fairly large group and chatted. But, you know, for me, once I got up there, I was like, yeah, there it is. I'm right back on the horse, so it feels good. And John says we never get over the fear of falling. Yeah, that is very true, my friend. But at least you don't hit the ground hard when you're public speaking, right? But yeah, no, that's good. And Zach says, Zachariah says, keto is great. I've been doing it since January. And I've been doing that like crazy too. Well, I had been up until Christmas. And then we just kind of, things hadn't gone. Letty says, I started the Telegram group for Keto Carnivore support post LFTN. I'll have to, well, I will have to join that. And again, I don't know if I mentioned it, but if you haven't joined our Telegram group, I pinned the link at the top. So there we are. All right. So I have you guys can throw other questions out as we go. It's going to be pretty chill. I love our Saturday nights because I don't know. There's just something about Saturday nights. They're relaxed, and I'm surprised we got 15 people in here tonight. So thank you guys. It's been a good night already. So first question. This one was one that Ken threw out in one of our Telegram groups the other day. Ken Ash, good buddy of mine, an awesome content creator, and he is getting ready to go through a rebrand. And his question was super simple. He just said, advice on doing a rebrand without alienating. He's joking here, of course, but he says, without alienating all 3 of my followers. He says, in all seriousness, just go for it. And that's tough. First off, from personal experience, when I first started my channel, it was a how to start a handyman business channel. And it got a little traction. And it was also a tool review channel. And so a lot of my early subscribers came in and they were very much interested or excited in my content to do with tools. But the problem was I couldn't hide my passion for prepping and preparedness for very long. And it just kept coming out and out and out. And I realized one day that if I didn't change something, I'd be making a whole bunch of content that I liked but didn't love. So the first thing I got to say is when I started going more and more toward preparedness content and independent living and all that, and it all goes together. You guys know that it took me a while to find preparedness, but you are going to lose some followers. Okay. So that's simple. Whenever you rebrand, because people come to your brand because, well, two reasons usually. Either they like your content or they like your personality. And a lot of times it's a combination of both. A lot of times they'll come for your content, stay for your personality, but not always. So I would say there's kind of that fringe. Yeah, John says out of the closet, Tim. Absolutely. It was never something I really hid, but it was just how I started my brand on YouTube. And if I'd have thought, if I'd have done things differently, would I have started right from the beginning? I don't know. But the cool thing is about how do you want to put it? The cool thing is about doing this sort of thing is that no matter where you are on your journey, you're where you need to be, right? So I made those choices early on and I changed as I went. So that's a long way to say that probably the best advice I can give you is to just pull off the Band-Aid, because you are going to lose some followers, and that's okay. Whenever somebody rebrands, there's always somebody that's like, oh, why did they change that logo? Or I used to like it when they talked about, dressing up in costumes, and now they want to talk about tuning pianos, right? It's just not everybody's going to be interested, but you're going to keep some. You're going to have your base. You're not going to lose everybody, so don't panic about that. But when it comes down to it, a person's got to talk about what they're passionate about, because, and sometimes, that's what's kind of cool. That's the big reason I guess I started the podcast is you have to evolve. You're going to evolve. And if you don't leave yourself some flexibility, you end up making the same goddamn video every week for the next 12 years. And you're only doing it going through the motions. And to me, no matter how much that kind of pays, I just can't do it. I can't keep doing the same old. So you have to do Brian. Oh man. Brian from Lot says you're talking about scrambling, wearing costumes and tuning pianos. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And Corey says, I have found that that as you evolve, as you go, some will stay and some will go. And it's true. And we can't lose any sleep over it, because we have to be 100% committed to who we are and the content we want to create. And if we feel like what we're passionate about, well, I guess let's back up a little bit. The thing you're passionate about is going to be the thing you're going to help people the most with, because they're going to see that you're real, that you believe in it, and that you're absolutely willing to just build somebody up from there. And Liberty, I was reading this story, Letty, she said, create the content you want to consume. It was all caps and it excited me, because that's exactly what it is. Number one, you're creating stuff you want to listen to. And number two, you're creating stuff for yourself. That's what's really funny about this. So for the most part, your ideal consumer, your ideal audience member is going to be yourself. When I look at my statistics on YouTube, it's a 35-year-old male from North America. Sorry, 35 to 55, North American male. That's what 95% of my audience is. And I love the ladies who come in here, and thank you. But I guess that's who I click with for the most part, right? And that's what it is. So you just, when you're looking to change your brand, I'm not even sure if it's a brand change as much as it is trying to bring your content in line with what you really feel is important. And that's okay. And people will find that passion. And I think if you don't do it, sometimes we have to take those huge steps that scare the shit out of us. And that's how we find the success we're looking for. So I hope, I already chatted with Ken a little bit on it. I asked his permission to be able to use this question because I liked it so much. And so John says, like you say, be yourself. Yes. And Brian says right here, this is the one I wanted to read. I have decided it is the least energy to just be yourself. That, you know what that reminds me of? They always say, how much work it is to live a lie, because once you tell a lie, you have to keep telling that lie. So every time you see that person, you have to remember, okay, what did I say? How did I say it? What was the story I was trying to say? And it just drains you mentally. So if you can absolutely be yourself, you're not putting on a show, you're talking about what you know and what you love. I know this question went a little bit off the rails here, but I think it's pretty important to talk about our brand and being passionate about, and especially in the preparedness field. If you want to talk about makeup, whoever you are, right? And I guess what I realized was, for me, I'm a prepper who likes tools, who likes all kinds of other things. But it almost seems like everything I do kind of gets centered in on that preparedness end of things. So whatever you're passionate about, be yourself. Don't put on that. I used to joke with my kids. And so about 3 years ago, before I started making content, I used to wake my girls up in the morning, and I would come in and I'd be like, hey guys, and I would do the fake, I always called it the fake YouTube voice or the fake Instagram voice. I'd be like, hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hashtag wake up now, kids. You need to go to school. And I used to do that. So it's fun. It's a joke, but a person can't keep that kind of shit up forever. You know, you just have to be who you are. And Corey says, FYI, you got tanned. Yeah, I did. In the last 3 days, I've got even more. But yeah, I was surprised. I've seen a few people in my town, and they're like, yeah. And Joseph says he's all in on tools, organization, etc. Because, and if you watch my buddy, Joseph Mills, we haven't chatted as much as we like to, but if you watch him, you can tell what he's passionate about. And you know what else he's passionate about? Is fishing. And you know what he did? He just started a fishing channel because he's also passionate about fishing. So if you guys are interested, like I could listen to Joseph talk about the phone, you know, read the phone books. He's an awesome guy. But Joseph, if you want to, and you're up for it, throw your links in the description, because I'm sure there's people here that would love to follow you. And yes, and Brian, man, we got this a great conversation tonight, guys. He says, I'm branching out and doing at least one tool review a week, and then make that my item of the week every day on the podcast. Yes. Absolutely. I need to reach out to you, Justin. I need to get you on the show. I know we talked about it before, and my next quarter is filling up, so I'd like to get you on here. He says, I've rebranded 3 times, once niching down, once with channel, then a rename, new logo, and one logo rebrand. And it takes a while for us to find what we can stick with, what we love, what we want to do, and that's okay. You know, it's our life and it's our content, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, it all depends on how you want to do it, what you want to do. But yeah, that's great. I like that. Yes, this is the tool channel, and JM Outdoors is fishing. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited. I've been watching Joseph. He went and bought I think it's called a kayak. You got right, Joseph, but it's kind of a sit-in kayak, and he's got his fish finder. I got to shout this out because you guys know. Well, 2 things. I've seen 2 cool DeWalt kind of rigged up things lately. Joseph has been running his fish finder off his DeWalt battery, and I want to shout out Snail Creek Homestead. Pretty sure I'm gonna have him on the show pretty soon. I met up with him at LFTN. He had a really cool. So I was watching his video last night, and it was he had electric fence that was way down. It was all unattached, but it was all way down through the bushes, and he needed to wind it up really quick. And so he built a bracket and then put the spool on there. And then the cool thing was the spindle he attached to his DeWalt drill. I loved it, and it worked like a dream. He is an ingenious dude, so we're going to have him on eventually too. Corey says, have you taken in any dogs lately? Yes, we just did. Yes. So, okay, we've got the 2 babies that are going to new homes, and we just got our newest one. Her name's Dottie. She's 9 years old, 8 years old. She came from a puppy mill. They made her have babies once a year at least. Dottie is her name, Dottie. And she's a sweetheart. I'll get her on the video someday. I'm the one who just, hey, Snail, hey, we're talking about him and he's in here. Well, what a good man he is. Anyway, you also got to check out his arm that he built for putting a frying pan in his wood stove. But yeah, so Corey was asking if we'd brought in any dogs, and that's the one. And I'm going to keep her because she's too sweet. We've now had her fixed. She's having all her old rotten teeth pulled out, and I'm going to make her into a daddy's girl because I just love that little thing to death. Joseph says he's got a Hobby Pro Angler 14-foot 360 drive kayak. Went a little bit all out. That's what we do. Plus, now you can write it off, right? Running all my electronics off DeWalt batteries. Even better. Yeah, that's cool. I love that. And yeah, Corey says, poor babies, thanks for taking them in. Yeah, we do that with the dogs. Here's my only problem. I always, bust Becky's balls over it because she loves to bring dogs in. But then who's the one that always decides to keep them but me? So we'll have a chat about that some other night. But all right. Here's the second one, guys. This was a good one, too. This one came in while I was on vacation. It's an email from Charlie Cole. He's a follower as well, a member of the workshop. And he says, hey, Tim, I hope this email finds you and your family well. I hope you had a fantastic time at the LFTN workshop. Now, this is the cool part. This is what I love here. And he says, I'm trying to start a podcast, and what I don't understand is how the recordings I make end up on podcast players. Is there a specific podcast service that you use in addition to your WordPress website? So this was all a process that I had to learn. And when my podcast first started, if you go back and listen to some of the original episodes, all they were was basically a collection of my tool review videos and eventually my live stream. And it wasn't really a podcast as much as it was just audio for the sake of audio. It was a placeholder until I was ready to do more with my podcast. And that was basically because, Jack always says, basically, do you hate money? Or in other words, why not repurpose your content to use it on another platform? And so that's where it started. But so for anybody who's out there, and most of you guys in here know this, but I'm going to share it for all the people listening on audio as well. You need to sign up for a podcast hosting service. And if you're brand new at it, sign up for a free one, because it'll be a long time until you need to absolutely pay for something. So totally fine. Hey, Chris Dixon, nice to have you. Earbuds only tonight. That means he's getting shit done while he's listening to us. So that's great. So the first thing you need to do is sign up for a podcast hosting service. And like I said, something free. Now I use Anchor, and I'm pretty sure Brian uses Captivate, because that's the one we use for Fireside Freedom as well. And if I'm wrong, Brian, you can throw in something different. Little man says, hey, Mr. Tim, tell him I say hi too, Letty. Always love hearing from him. So how does it work? Basically, so you create your content, you watch. Oh, Brian uses Recircle. See, every one of us uses something different. And Nate uses mic into GarageBand, GarageBand into Libsyn, Libsyn out to all the players. Yes. So you're going to create your audio. If you're recording, something like Audacity is awesome. Now, here's a cool little tip or hint. If you didn't know this, if you're using, now I don't know if it's in the free version. I think it is. But if you're using StreamYard to stream, when you're done, it saves your video in there. And then you click on download recording, and it gives you two options. You can download the video, or you can download the audio only. And that's all I do. I'm from the, how do you want to put it? I'm from the Jack Spirko school of making it as simple and as easy as I can. I don't edit my podcast. I download the audio. It goes straight up to the podcast feed. So from there, I log into StreamYard. I'm already in StreamYard. Then I go into Anchor. So it's anchor.fm, anchor.fm. But you don't have to use that one. Just put into Google free podcast hosting service. And it's awesome. This one's owned by Spotify. So whatever you want to think about that. But from there, you're going to register your podcast and you're going to upload your first video. They take care of adding your podcast. Well, they create an RSS feed for you, which I think is kind of the back end of things. So if you're looking to add yours to a bunch of other podcast catchers, you can use that there as well. Now, once you add it in there, within a week or two, start going around and checking all of your other podcast feeds. So search into Apple, Google, Spotify, Overcast. All of those are going to be automatically added through Anchor. So they take care of all that for you. Then what I would do is start asking your audience, what is their preferred way to listen to podcasts? Find out which podcatchers they're using. Search on the internet and say, okay, where do I find all the, so this is what I did, because I'm anal, right? So I went online and I found the top 20 or top 30 largest podcast distributors or catchers that you can find on the internet. I made a list of them, and then I went and I searched every damn one of them to see if my podcast showed up on it. Any of the one they didn't, I manually added them. So that's the big thing. So once you have Anchor gets you out there to all the big ones. It's going to cover 98% of most people's usage, right? But then Google how to manually add yourself to them, or just search on their website and find it. And then just gradually work your way out there. Because when you first get started, I always tell the same story. The only people listening to you are your mom and your wife, and they give up after the first couple episodes for a little while anyway. But then they get back into it. So yeah, manually get it out there. And then, yeah, also make sure you post your RSS feed, put it on your website, share it in social media, because there's some people that are, I have discovered, really anal, or whatever you want to call it, in getting that set up somewhere. And they all have like, I only use this very specific podcatcher and I need your RSS feed. It's only happened a couple times, but just make sure you have access to that. Float will give you, or Anchor, man, I'm having a good night tonight. Anchor will give that to you. Just check in your Anchor profile and it'll be there. Now, here's the other thing. Always make sure you back up your audio files. Now, it could be tomorrow that Anchor goes out of business, or they could change their, and I'm not real paranoid about this kind of stuff, but they could change their terms and conditions and delete you from the platform tomorrow, right? So If they do, you always need a way, or something could crash, you could lose it, or you might want to migrate to a new platform and it might just be easier. And also, I'll probably make a way to allow, I'm eventually what I'd like to do is put all the audio files in one place for someone to be able to take them and have them however they want. And of course, I've created that float radio station, which was awesome. I got to get back into running that, but having all of your audio stored in one place, because audio doesn't take a lot of space. Like each episode might be 80 megs. So you can figure I've got 108 episodes now. So that's not a lot of data, but just save them so that you always have them. And I got a lot of good comments here. We're going to work through here, guys, right quick. Okay, let's go back. Yeah. John Palmer says, keep it simple, stupid. And yes, so I'm going to highlight this one from Brian, because this is very similar to what I do. He does StreamYard Live to YouTube, Facebook, Float, Odyssey, Twitch, and more. Then download the audio, upload to Red Circle and Float feed. Done 7 minutes after my live stream ends. That's me too, guys. So I already created a placeholder, something else I should mention. So before the episode tonight, of course, if you put all your data into StreamYard, do it all in there first, all of that data will go across to all your different streaming platforms. And then the only place you need to add it is to your podcast platform. So I open up a blank episode in Anchor. I have all my data in there. I've got the episode numbered, I've got the title, and I've got the whole episode description, and it's all in there. Done. Then from there, after this is over, as soon as we're done chatting, when I hit end broadcast, I then go back to the dashboard, download the audio, and as soon as it takes longer to download than it does to upload, and then the episode's live. So like Brian said, it takes about 7 minutes. It's great. And Martinson says, I think not editing makes it better, real instead of overproduced. Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to give a shout out to Nighthawk, who just joined the Telegram group while we were live. That makes me excited. Finally got to meet Nighthawk in person last week, and it was great. And I see that the skill testing question's there. So Nighthawk, if you can hear me, make sure you answer that question, because you get 3 minutes or something. And Martinson family says, I get help to find YouTube. All that stuff is Greek to me. That's why we're here. We love to help. We love to answer questions. And some people are consumers and some people are creators. And if there was no, well, I'll tell you another cute little story. Back when I was 16 years old, I worked at the library as a library student assistant. I was teaching everybody in the town how to use the internet because it was 1997. And I used to complain every night I'd come in and the return bin would be full of books. And Thelma, she's passed away now, God rest her soul. She was my boss. And she used to see me and I'd huff. You know how teenagers would. I'm like, oh, why is there so many books to put away? And you know what she would say? She said, if people didn't borrow books and didn't return them, you wouldn't have a job. I always thought that was pretty neat. So anyway, yeah, it is what it is. And if there weren't consumers, there wouldn't be creators. If there wasn't creators, there wouldn't be consumers. And Liberty All Day says she backs up to Odyssey. Yes, that is absolutely, they're great. And I also use Rumble now to back up because I'm not really great at backing up all of my video content because that takes up a lot of space. Nate says weird. Yes. So I'm going to shout out to Nate and Aaron from the Two Chicks Homestead. They have a podcast. And as I said, I love seeing people getting shit done this week. And the big one is Aaron and Nate are now officially on YouTube. So share your link, Nate, if you want. Get your YouTube channel up here. I told them last night that I was their subscriber number 12. They're starting something great. And when they hit 1 million, I don't want them to forget about me. So everybody show them the love. And Nate or Aaron, if you throw up your link there, we'll get it shared out. And hopefully people will add it. And, oh, Brian says he has an external hard drive that he stores all video and audio files on. I need to do that. That's my next thing. That's a very good suggestion, Brian. I appreciate that. Now, the next one. Our buddy Zachariah, if he's still in here, he's been around the workshop for a long time. Actually, I believe he's probably been around since before it was actually called the workshop. And I believe he was the winner of he was a 2-time winner of our very first giveaway. He won, I was like the 3rd place prize. And then I forgot to take his name out of the draw and his name came back up for the grand prize. So we give him the grand prize and redrew for the 2nd prize or whatever it was. But he still has the DeWalt Bluetooth speaker. He's still here. So the 3rd question was from him. And I like this one. So we're going to dig into it a little bit. He says, what do you do to manage all of your social media platforms? Are you using some sort of service to sync them all? Or are you just ridiculously disciplined going to every one? So first off, I appreciate you thinking I'm disciplined, because I literally kick my ass every time I forget to post something on social media. I'm really anal about that kind of stuff. So the first thing I did was, well, there's a bunch of things. So let's back up a little bit. But what I started doing was I was digging everywhere, looking for an app that would automatically upload everything to everywhere like I wanted to. And I couldn't find it. There's nothing. There was some platforms that did some things, but there's no platform that does everything. So it would be really great if somebody could invent an app that did all of that for you, because it doesn't exist. Okay. There's nothing out there that I can find yet. So that's the short answer to the question. And like I said, if somebody could design one, I'm sure they could make a pretty penny off of it. Now, here's another mention about this, which will hopefully make it a little bit simpler. Don't feel like you need to post something different to every social media platform. You can rework it if you want to, but I follow the copy and paste format because things need to get in front of people on multiple occasions. And I'll use Amy Dingman, for instance. There's been plenty of times when I've been on float, scrolling through, missed something. Then I will go to MeWe and I will see, oh, well, look what Amy's up to. And I'm like, wow, how did I miss that? Then I'll go back to float and all of a sudden it'll be there. It's so easy to miss things. So, and you're going to have different people who use different platforms. So don't worry about it. The people who appreciate you, if they see the same post on two platforms, they'll just scroll by one of them. And if they get pissed off and they leave, well, then they weren't your ideal consumer anyway. So the first thing I had to realize was I didn't need to create new content for every single platform because I was killing myself trying to do it. So now, of course, everything goes on all the platforms because I want whatever I'm creating, whether it's cool pictures I took at work or a little meme that I'm sharing or my latest video link, I want to make sure it gets in front of everyone's eyeballs. That is how it works. So yeah, so Nate says I put the link up. Let me know if you can see it. If anybody can see it in the YouTube end of things, let me know because I have my suspicions. Because when Joseph mentioned his link, it didn't show up either. So if anybody can see it, I can't see it in StreamYard. Just let me know because I think I need to change some security things there. So if it doesn't, I will get both your guys' links out through social this week. So yeah, don't try to do different things. Feel free to post the same thing all the way across the board. Next, have a schedule. This is what I had to do. And you guys have heard me talk. Okay, so a whole bunch of people said they can't see it. So that has to be in my live stream settings. I will fix that, guys, for next week. Hey, Arizona Renaissance Man. That's another name I haven't seen in here before. Nice to have you. Or maybe I have, but I've forgotten. I'm sorry if that's the case. Sorry, see, Canadians. Oh, sorry. So next thing is you got to have a schedule because, like I said, you don't have an app. So for me, I have twice a day. I'm on social all the time, but twice a day that I'm anal about posting. And that's first thing in the morning when I get up and then right after supper. So yeah, for me, I created that kind of 2-hour window before everyone else in my house gets up from about 6 to about 8. That's when I do most of my content creation. And that's when I post on social. But be careful because social media can be a chain. It can grab you and suck you in. So I have sometimes got up in the morning, posted to social, planned on going to make some videos and realized 45 minutes later that I'm still scrolling through the feed. So just be careful, but make it into a schedule. Develop systems. So this is the big one. You want to figure out the quickest way to do this kind of stuff. And the more you do it, the faster you're going to get. But I mean, for me now, I post. Okay, so where do I post? For the most part, I post on Instagram, Facebook, Float, MeWe, and YouTube. I guess that's pretty much it. I've tried some other ones. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. But 3 minutes and it's all posted. You know, I do the write-up first. And my biggest struggle, my personal struggle, is proper proofreading. I suck at that. There's been more times where I've posted things and Becky's like, did you really mean to say that? And then I'll read it. I'm like, damn it, I am awful. And Zachariah says a death scroll. Yeah, that's it. So proofread. Spend your time proofreading that very first post, then copy and paste it. And then I usually start MeWe, then I go to Float. It screwed me up since Float updated, but anyway. And then I go to Instagram. Now, so I've got the system down. So you learn, okay, this is where I want to put it. So I'm going to do it. I'm just going to bam, 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 and done. Now, find redundancies. So there's a few things that can help speed things up for you. So if you post to Instagram, you probably know this, but if you post to Instagram, you can link your personal or business page to that as well, and it will automatically post it over onto Facebook for you. So when I post to Instagram, I have to remember, if I do it in the right order, it works proper. So I post the picture and then we go from there. So Chris says, can we share the link for them and then you copy and paste as admin? Maybe. Can try it. Send it to me in Telegram as well, and I'll see what happens. That might work. Yeah, that would be great. And if Joseph, you're still in here, oh, Joseph might not be in Telegram. But anyway, I'll get it to you guys. But yeah, try that. And maybe we're going to have to get an admin in here. I don't know. Anyway, we'll deal with that. We're not that big yet, are we? So yeah, redundancy. So yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, Liberty All Day says, don't forget your hashtags. I am miserably bad about hashtags, and I'm pretty sure that's why my Instagram growth has been so flat over the last couple of years. I don't know. If there's somebody out there that has figured out the Instagram game and they want to come on the show, you need to come on and chat with me. I would love to learn some stuff about Instagram because I think it's still a pretty happening platform if you're doing it right. And the other one, I haven't tested it since Float updated, but when I checked before, Float was automatically posting to Twitter if you allowed them to. So again, if you post to Float and then Twitter, and the best one that we all use is simply Odyssey. Once you get to a certain size, will automatically grab YouTube videos for you, so you don't have to post it there, as long as it's under an hour. And also, the other thing is Rumble will pull them up for you as well, which is great because I'm still getting used to Rumble, and it's a pretty good platform, but they don't seem to have any limit on how big or whatever. Let's see if that works there for you guys. I think it will. Let me know if you can see it. I just posted Nate's link up there. So yeah, they don't seem to have any limits on how long the video can be. So find redundancies. Anytime you can find a redundancy, that's when you're going to save a little bit of time. But the big thing is building out your system. I did a quick search because I was pretty sure I was close on this, but it says most people need to see an ad or a post 7 to 8 times before it clicks in. Now, I won't spoil the person's name because it's not fair for me to, but I have someone who is a very, very, very long time follower for like almost 2 years since the beginning. And about 3 months ago, they messaged me and said, holy shit, Tim, I didn't know you had a podcast. And of course, me in my brain, and I've talked about this with some other people before, when you eat, breathe, and live something every single day, you just automatically assume that everyone else knows about that, right? It's like the other, a couple months ago, I got a call. Hey, do you do property management? And I'm like, yeah, that's what I do. And I realized, well, that's not a failure on them. That's a failure on me and getting my message out there. So social media, and it's not spam. You want to be giving people value for their time. You don't want to be wasting whatever you're putting out there, but people need to see things 7 and 8 times before they get it. That's why Nicole, literally every single episode, talks about the Self-Reliance Festival, because if she doesn't, people aren't going to hear about it. That's why I talk about this Telegram group every single week, because I love it. I believe in it. And every time I mention it, we usually have someone else that's like, hey, I didn't know you had a Telegram group. I'm going to join. Now, here's another part that, yes, call to action. That's what Zachariah calls it. And you're right. That's exactly what we want. Oh, Squishy says, I got your stickers. Nice. I love that. So now the other thing, I want to talk a little bit about testing out social media platforms. So I've tested out a few that didn't jive with me. Now, I stuck with Float a long time because I really believed in it, and it's really come a long way. It's hit a little bump with the update, but it's coming a lot. Now, two of the other ones that I've thought of are Minds, M-I-N-D-S, and what was the other one? FireOn. You guys know that one. Anyway, both of those are really good platforms. They just didn't feel like my people, if that makes sense. I wasn't getting traction. So for me, when I try a new platform, the rule of thumb is try it for a couple of months. If it doesn't work, I may stick with it. I may not, but it's totally okay to drop a social media platform if you're not getting any traction there, because that might not be where your potential audience is. So test it out, get it going, and then move on from it. Absolutely. And the other thing you got to remember is it really doesn't take, I don't know, how do we want to put this? So to make up a post and post it, say takes 3 minutes. For me to make up a post and post it on 5 platforms takes 5 minutes. So how much better of a use of that time is it if you've built yourself a system, you found your redundancies, and you're like, okay, here it is. Boom, 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 boom. And it's just making a habit, right? They say 6 weeks in and you'll start developing a habit for that kind of stuff. So post it on social media, get used to it, and then set yourself a schedule. Now, the other thing about my schedule is I'm very anal Monday to Friday. Saturday and Sunday, I don't give a shit. So I have to give myself that mental freedom. Sunday's my sleep-in day, so normally I'll sleep in. What a novel concept to sleep in on sleep-in day. So Monday to Friday, I normally get up, I'll post. You know, a lot of times my evenings, I'll do a meme dump. So I'll see some, kick-ass memes during the day. I'll screenshot them. And then when I have 3 or 4 that kind of fit the same theme, I'll post them all across social because people love that, right? And then in the morning, I always post whatever my latest content is. And then, 2 or 3 other things. Sometimes in the evening, I'll post pictures of the work I've been doing, projects I've been doing. And then from there, just go. But you will find whatever works for you. And don't be afraid to dump something like a bad habit. And don't be afraid to try new shit too, because like when I tried my movie episode, I thought, well, you know what? I like movies. We're going to talk about movies. It could have fallen flat, but it worked. So you try it. Letty says, come to the dark side of Telegram, people. Yes, please do. And John says, time is precious. Don't waste it on stuff that doesn't pay back. Absolutely. That's true. I'm a big fan of investing time in the things that will return the most down the road. And I'm also a big fan of getting rid of shit that's time wasters because it's too easy to do. And John says payback is not always monetary. A lot of times it isn't. For instance, I'm a big fan of creating systems that save me time down the road. And again, in my opinion, I almost think time might be more important than money because, you can always make more money, but you can't make more time, right? And I know that's cliche, but it's true. So if you can find a way to save yourself more time, you can free yourself up to do more things. But yes, payback is definitely not always monetary. Sometimes it can just be the fact that you helped someone and you feel good about helping someone, or you taught somebody and you feel great about being able to teach someone. I don't know. I think it's great. There's some things that just get me out of bed in the morning, and teaching and sharing and seeing other people succeed, that's probably the big one. So those are the 3 questions. And then I wanted to share with you guys the last few thoughts I had coming out of LFTN, the spring workshop. And I know anybody who was there has been excited about it. I was excited about it, but like I said, it took a week to really get everything in place and kind of feel where we were, how we did, and how special of an event it really was. But the first thing I got to say is when we got off the plane Tuesday, we got home back to Provost we got off the plane on Monday, got back to our hometown on Tuesday. Wednesday morning when I got up and started working, I had all the energy in the world. I felt like I could run a marathon. And then Thursday, I was a little tired. And then by Friday, I was wiped out, like miserable. So I think I was talking to Scramblin this morning, and I think he called it something like a psychic letdown. So basically, you've spent all this time taking in everybody else's incredible energies and building one another up, and you get really excited. And it's like that adrenaline dump, and then afterwards you come down off it. So you got to know when you go to something like that, afterwards, it's totally normal to feel down or tired or wore out, because that is how our body and our mind and our relationships work. It's just part of it, and that's okay. So remember that if you go to something like that, because when I give my presentation, I told everybody, if you're building something great, there's going to come a day you're going to leave wherever you are, and you're going to be excited about going out and creating something special. You're going to be up, you're going to be excited, and then all of a sudden there's going to be a day you're going to wake up and you're going to feel it, and you're like, wow, I'm just not feeling it today. I'm burnt out, and that's okay. That's part of life. And getting through those little sections, that's part of finding success. But yeah, so Friday I was wiped. That's okay. And then, we had we had one day in the hotel and then one day in Calgary when we got back. And Becky and I spent a lot of time talking about it. And it really blew me away how much she loved it. I knew I would love it, but I was really worried that I would spend the entire time worried about her because she's always been supportive of what I do, but she'd never been she'd never met a lot of these people. This was a big step for her. Well, I got to tell you, she wasn't disappointed. And the few times that I looked around to see where she was knee deep in a conversation with somebody somewhere, and it was awesome. She just loved it. And so that's what I liked. Now, I'm going to share something else with you, but I wanted to, there's a couple things here. Letty says, all that decompression and recharging, I passed out for half the drive Sunday. Monday was a bit better. Yeah, and that's exactly how it works, right? And Martinson family asks if I've ever read the Celestian Prophecy. I have not. I would totally be interested in doing that, but I haven't. So, and Letty says, it's so important for your physical and mental health to take the break and then really dig into it all. Yeah, it is. That's how it is. You have to, right? Because if you try to stay up, it's like when I say fear is never a good long-term motivator, and adrenaline is never really a good long-term motivator either. That was just because eventually your body's going to wear off on it and you're going to break down and you're going to fall apart, right? Man, we've got so many people in here tonight. Thank you, guys. I see Charlie Cole. Charlie, if you didn't get in for the whole episode, it's nice to have you here, man. It was great. Pipe and Eyes said, even when exhausted, when I see someone else pushing my original actions, it's a little easier to push more. Yes, absolutely. And what do they say that I think the Army says this, that when you absolutely think you can't go one step, you've only actually done 30% of what you can do or something like that. So yeah, Nate says Becky was a blast to hang out with. And Liberty says, Letty says Becky was a little Miss Social. She absolutely was. And we have the Philippine Nomad. Hey, Mike, how are you? We just hit 20 people in here. This is great, guys. Love it. Now, this was the big one. And I got Becky's permission to share this. So I obviously wouldn't have if not. But so this was pretty cool. But accepting and fitting in has been something, and you're going to find this hard to believe, that has been a struggle for us, more so for Becky, because things were different in her past. Let's put it that way. And we, other than our in-laws, we don't have a lot of friends locally. I'm a social butterfly. I talk to everyone. I get along with almost everyone. But to find people that you fit in with and are accepted unconditionally, we've never had that before. And it's definitely more difficult for the female sex, hopefully I don't sound sexist there, but it absolutely is. And it broke in my heart because, for us guys, we meet people, we get along, but women, you know how it is. They struggle with it, right? So when we finished up after the show, after the workshop, Becky said to me, she said, it's the first time that I felt accepted and that I fit in somewhere. And that's exactly how I felt. You have all of these things, all of these things that you have in common with all these other people, right? But you've never met them in real life. And you're like, okay, well, maybe they're not really that way. But when you get together with a whole bunch of like-minded people, you realize that there's more to life than whatever you found before. And it's not a religious thing. It's not a social. I don't know what it is. But when you find your people, you fucking know it. And there's the F-bomb, guys. Have to click that little explicit box. But we absolutely knew it. And it meant so much to Becky that she found those people, that she was like, as soon as we got home, she said, we need to find land in Tennessee and move there. But either way, we are going to do our damnedest to get back and be back with our tribe. And that is what Letty says. We found our tribe. And amen to that, sister, because we absolutely found our tribe. So that was exciting. John says, my wife doesn't have any friends. She says women are conniving. So I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too much, but that has been a struggle for Becky. She's always had a hard time because, right? And this was the first time that she met people that she's like, it didn't matter how I looked. It didn't matter what I talked about. It didn't matter what my interests were. People legitimately cared about me. They legitimately wanted to know about my interests, and they were just incredible people. So, Corey says, Brian says Corey hates most women. It's tough. And as men, like, I can't talk about women because I'm not a woman, right? Or at least that's what the world tells me. But I have seen it, and I've seen my wife struggle making friends her whole life because women can be difficult, right? And she found her tribe and her friends there. So it was awesome. And I don't even know how else to put it, but I can just tell you, I had tears in my eyes when she was telling me. I have tears in my eyes when I'm talking tonight. And it was just the damnedest thing. And she just thinks the world of you, Aaron. You got to know that. And yeah, so yeah, it is. Arizona Renaissance man said fitting in is hard when it's average people. Ain't that the truth? But I got to tell you, for a bunch of crazy, insane, scary anarchists like we all are, we seem to be the most gosh darn accepting people you can find. Hey, funny how that is. When we don't have a political affiliation, we're like, hey, I don't care. Trans, gay, white, black, male, female, I don't care. Come on, let's have a chat, because I believe that you're worthy, and I believe that you have something you can teach me. So let's get together and let's have a chat, and maybe I can learn something from you. So yeah, there it is. And Brian says Corey's a tomboy and has no interest in anything girly. I get you. Alice has been that way. My daughter, she loves Marvel and all this stuff, and she goes to school and she comes home. She's like, they made fun of me because I like superheroes, and that breaks my heart. So find your tribe, guys. It may take you till you're fucking middle of your 40s. Like, well, what am I, 41? And well, Becky's in her 40s as well. And so it's great to have found our tribe. And I love that, Letty. And I'm going to steal that, and I'm going to keep using that phrase because that is awesome. Now, the other couple other things about that, what I love, and I've mentioned it already, is I love seeing all of you guys get shit done this week. I have had people message me who said, hey, this is what I was going to do because of the workshop, and I'm doing it. I've seen Nate talking about a side hustle he wants to do. I've seen Nate and Aaron start a YouTube channel. I've seen a bunch of different, I've seen Letty Lou. She's doing a really cool thing that I will let her share about, but I'm really proud of her for that. Who else? Oh my God. It's just been absolutely everybody. And I love it because it's one thing. Okay, Letty. So you need to explain it to me how it works, because she's offering kind of a consultation service. She's going to teach, I think, like an electronic admin or a distance admin type person. And I love the idea. And I'm probably totally ruining what you shared with me, Letty, but yeah, it's awesome. Brian's working on a possible silver project. He shared some details with me behind the scenes, and I friggin' loved it. Every time somebody gives me a great idea, I'm like, I got to do this too. But I just love seeing what other people are doing. It's great. We have a great project, like I said, that's coming out on Fireside Freedom, which we're super excited about, because we feel like over there, we're still trying to get our feet under us, and we're still trying to find our niche and our voice and our personality. And that doesn't happen overnight. But what we do know is we've got an audience that loves us and enjoys what we're doing. So yeah, it is what it is, right? Pippin says, sometimes it's hard to not dislike humans. Speaking as an ex-auto service writer, it's tough to get past people's anger and not knowing. And people do get angry, don't they? They get angry when they're ignorant. And I mean ignorant of the facts or ignorant of the situation. And more so, people get angry when they're anxious and they lash out unintentionally. And that happens. And it's really easy to judge, right? And I'm bad at that. I'm going to tell you another story. So there's a tenant in town that I look after who rubbed me the wrong way for a long time, to the point where I had to be very abrupt with him and tell him that if he continued to talk to me like that, that I wouldn't be handling him anymore. And I think he understood, because I'm not normally like that. I've never done that with somebody before. That was 6 months ago. We really hadn't chatted since, but he knew that he really pissed me off. And this gentleman come up to me a couple of days ago, and I seen him. And you know what my first reaction was? I don't want to talk to you. That's what I thought. But you know what? I was still kind of on that post-event. I'm like, you know what? Frig off, Tim. You can be better than this. So I went over and I talked to him. And you want to know what he told me? He told me that 6 months ago, he had an addiction that he was dealing with. And he's beat that. And he has been sober for 6 months since then. And I could see a difference in his eyes. And I could see a difference in his personality. And if I'd have just been like, not that dick again, and I kind of went there with my dander up, he might not have shared that with me. But for whatever reason, he felt like he needed to share that with me. And maybe that was his way of apologizing for saying, hey, I understand I was a bit of a dick, but I give him a fist bump and I told him I was proud of him, and it made my day. So you just never know what people are going through, right? Rachel says, humans suck. A lot of guys get offended if a woman has too strong of a personality. Women backstab and assume you're doing the same. And you know what? You're right, Rachel. I gotta talk about that for a minute. I would say a lot of guys who get offended if a woman has a strong personality would be insecure guys, because I was one of them for a long time. And when I was an insecure guy, I quite often got offended by women who were strong in personality, because that wasn't what women were supposed to be. And then the more content and positive and secure you get in your own masculinity, manhood, interests, passions, skills, whatever it is, you realize, whoa, it's totally fine for a woman to have a strong personality, and you get excited about it. My wife has a very strong personality, and I appreciate that about her. And it's easy when you meet some women, you're like, oh, well, she's, they used to call ball buster, whatever it was. No. You're just insecure, buddy. So it's okay. So see, I went way down the rabbit hole there. Yeah. And Nate says, that sounds interesting. Lots project. Yeah. I'm excited about his silver project. We need to support Brian, guys. It's great. Hogs or Haws, I never know what to call it. He says, late to the party. We'll have to listen to the first hour. Hey, Tim and chat. Nice to have you. We've had a lot. I think, well, I'm not going to say I think. We broke a new record. It's the first time we made it into 20, and I believe I saw 21 or 22 people there. Thanks for coming in, Letty. Letty's saying good night tonight, but it was, it's a great episode. I love when we get talking. And Aaron said side hustle was going to be delayed for permits, but as John Willis says, allowed versus able. Yeah, easier to ask for forgiveness and permission sometimes too, right? And, it's only legal if you get caught. Or, what is it? A fine is just legal for a price. We all know that, don't we? And it's true. But again, don't get out there, stick your nose out and do something simply because I'm going to stick it to the man. I'm a big fan of, I say this as I'm literally live streaming on the internet, but I'm a big fan of the gray man personality. And what I mean by that is not to bring negative attention to yourself for the simple fact that you want that negative attention, right? There comes a time when you need to fight the man for something, but I'm a big fan of staying below the radar and just doing my thing and not catching shit from anybody if I don't need to. Because if you don't give a reason for someone to look at you, they're probably not going to look at you. So that's my 10 cents for the night. And Martinson says punished by fine is legal with a fee. Ain't that the truth? I've seen that meme going around an awful lot lately, and it's true. But again, how is it? Ideally, we might be, you know what? I've said the word anarchist to people lately, and they're like, you mean those scary terrorist type people? And I'm like, you know what? I really need to start using the word voluntarist, because that is a much better term, because we all think that everybody can get down with the fact that voluntary interaction should be the way it is until you really push it, right? Rachel says security through obscurity. That's my big one right there. I love that one. Pipin says, if I'm the nail sticking out, I hope I'm not the obvious one to hit with a hammer. Yep. And Nate says, spot on, Tim. Everyone needs to learn how to be the gray man. Yeah, I think so. And I think it's going to be more important. I think it's a skill we always need to have. And it just serves us well in life. It keeps you safe. I don't know if I mentioned this, and if I did, you guys can stop me, but I mentioned on social or in Telegram the other day that I'm really bad. So there's part of being a gray man is blending in, but part of being a gray man is blending in, but also paying attention. And I can be really good at blending in, but I can be really bad at situational awareness. And the reason I say that is the other day when I was in Calgary, I was playing on my phone. It was a beautiful day, and I have this bad habit of rolling the window down while I'm waiting for Becky in Walmart. And guess what? Some homeless lady come up and asked me for a smoke and caught me completely off guard. And that's happened to me 3 times in the last 12 months. It happened to me at the Arby's parking lot in Lloyd, where a very big burly man came up and asked me for money for a coffee. And it happened to us at a chicken joint in downtown Edmonton when I checked my mirror and seen a lady sneaking up beside me. She was really spaced out, and she was hollering at people looking for smokes. And I wasn't paying attention, and she got within 2 feet of my door when I looked in the mirror as I was opening the door, and it scared her off. So I need to work on that. But so there's 2 sides to the gray man thing, and maybe we'll have a whole nother episode on that, Arizona says the nail that sticks up highest gets hammered down first. Absolutely. It is. But yeah, so there's lots of interesting thoughts there. And I love that whole gray man idea, because to me, it really is. That I think that's should almost be a principle of preparedness, is knowing how to blend in and how not to attract attention to yourself. And also, when you do attract attention, how to deflect that attention through, politeness, or being persistent and strong, but not being, overly boisterous. But anyway, I think maybe that would make a good episode, or maybe a short video sometime. So yeah, if you guys have other questions, anything else you want to throw out there right quick, feel free. I would, we've been having Saturday evenings. Don't they always seem to be the best conversations? Everything just flows. You guys have been great tonight. What an awesome community. Chris says situational awareness is something I practice with my boys all the time. Yeah, it's true. And I've been trying to get better at it. When Becky and I go into restaurants, I try to sit so I can see near the window and pay attention. Hey, look who we have. Trout's Adventure. Hello, this is my first time being here. I just subscribed. I'm glad to join the community. Well, all I can say is we are absolutely glad to have you here, Trout. This is awesome. And if you wonder why I say Trout like that, it's because I grew up on the East Coast and I'm a Canadian, and I like to say things like out in a boat while we go fishing for trout. So there you go. I hope that made you laugh. But nice to have you. We appreciate you. Yeah, absolutely. We are growing a great thing here. And I know I tell you guys this all the time, but I appreciate you. I do, because I love getting down here and talking with you on live stream. Becky's my biggest supporter, my biggest fan. There's never once where she's like, why are you going down there to talk again? Because I say I'm building something great. And I didn't share all of this with you guys. I put it on Telegram if you saw it over there. But a couple nights after I spoke at LFTN, I got 3 or 4 text messages from my mom. And I talk about building a support community, or a support system, and an encouragement. And Mom sent me a video, 3 text messages. And the one that really got to me was, it was really cool. She said, Tim, I don't know if you remember when you were a kid, but when you were a kid, I told you that you could do anything. And I meant that. And she said, you're proving me right now. And she said, what you're doing right now is going to turn into something huge. And I'm proud of you. And I thought, wow, that is friggin' awesome. So yeah, it's great to have a good support system there. John calls us Canadians extreme Yankees. And Nate says, what's the equipment used for live streaming? And as so situational awareness, if you keep your back from the door of a room. Yeah, I'm going to just throw this out there, that I was, at a meeting with 70 fellow Americans. I'm guessing a significant portion of them carried, and not once did I ever see a gun or know there was a gun there. I thought that was pretty cool. So equipment for live streaming. I'm going to lift this up. I hope this doesn't get too loud. This is my, hang on one second, guys. Sorry. This is my Fifine. You're not going to be able to see that because it's all in shadow. So if you check out toolmantim.shop, there should be some technology links there. And I bought this podcast mic 2 years ago, before I started podcasting, because I knew I was going to podcast someday. And I spent too much on it. It was about $100 Canadian, which is about 14 cents American. And I love it. And everybody says I have great sound. Now for lighting, I literally have 2 incandescent single screw-in fixtures up there. And I have 100-watt equivalent daylight LED bulbs. That's what I have. I have 3 monitors right here so that I have my notes to my left. I have Float and Odyssey chats to my right. And in front of me here is StreamYard with the chat window for YouTube and Facebook right there. And then I spent about $75 on a webcam. And I don't know what name it was. All I knew was it was high definition. I was going to be on the Survival Podcast. And I thought, I wonder if I have to do that live. Wasn't sure. So I ended up buying one. Turned out I didn't need it, but I've certainly put it to good use. So Trout says, thank you, everyone. Very glad to be here, and seems like a great podcast you have, Tim. Thank you. And Rachel said, did you join the Telegram? Yeah, I don't know. Trout, if you're in here and you're on Telegram, that is our place to hang out. So if you ever have questions or you want to show off some projects you're working on, then come by and join us. I'm going to grab the Telegram. It is pinned, but I don't know if you come in late, if you can see that. I think you can, but I will reshare the link for you right there. That's the Telegram group. And if you're not sure what Telegram is, it's very simple. It's just a chat-based It's similar to some of the other programs out there, but it's just an ongoing chat room where we can share videos and links. And sometimes we even do well, I don't even want to call it, but like a face-to-face meetup through Telegram, and it's great. So we'll do 5 or 6 or 8 of us, whoever's around, will hop on. We'll do a live chat, and we'll help dig through somebody's issues. Or, we had somebody recently that was like, "Hey, I am everyone else's cheerleader, but I can't be my own cheerleader. Can you help me with that?" And recently, Nate was like, "Hey, I've got a job idea or a business idea. Help me out." And guess what? The absolute best way to figure something out is to make it public and talk about it. Chris says it stopped raining. Back at it. Good night, all. It was good to have you, my friend. Always like seeing you, and hopefully we'll get to see each other in real life real soon again. But yeah, so guys, I appreciate you. Yeah, I think that is all I wanted to chat about tonight. I guess where are we heading from here? So tomorrow night, if you guys know Kerry Brown from Strong Roots Resources, he's been on the show before. He's going to come on. Now, I'm going to tell you the topic of tomorrow night's show. And if you don't know what it is, it's totally fine. You're still going to enjoy it. It is the rules of acquisition from the Ferengi. If you don't know what the Ferengi are, it's totally fine. But if you're a nerd like I am, and you like Star Trek, or at least you used to watch Star Trek when you were a kid, the Ferengi were the guys with the great big ears, and they wrote a whole bunch of rules of acquisition for business. So we thought it would be really fun. Carrie and I are going to pick our top 10 rules from this list of 200 and some rules of acquisition in business, and we're going to discuss how they actually apply in real life. It's going to be a fun tongue-in-cheek conversation. Really what it's going to be is two friends, Carrie and I, sitting around chatting about business, but we're going to do it through a pop culture lens, which you guys know is my kind of shtick, right? And then from there, like I said, do not forget Friday. I'll have the links all over social. I have A. American coming on, the author of the Going Home series, the workshop's favorite post-apocalyptic prepper porn. It's going to be awesome. He's going to be, I can't wait to chat with him. His real name's Chris. It's been a lot of fun getting to know him and his wife Mel through Facebook to make sure that they wanted to come on here, and I'm excited to have them. So it's going to be great. And I've got 2 more guests that are put on the Spock ears, Martinson said. I've got 2 more guests that are going to be really exciting. They've both confirmed they want to come on the show. I just haven't got a date yet. So hopefully within the next couple of days, I'll be able to make 2 more awesome announcements. Like I said, I wanted to reach out to some people who had some really eclectic and large audiences so that we can share the gospel of the workshop and hopefully meet a whole bunch of new people. So A. American is going to be fun. Carrie's going to be great. We got a whole bunch of stuff coming up this week. So, for Trout, like I said, if you're new here, typically Thursday, Saturday, Sunday night is when we do our live streams. Always 7 o'clock Mountain Time. I used to try to put it in all the different time zones, but all I found was that just created more headache for everybody. So if I say Mountain Time, everyone else can know whether they got a plus or minus it a little bit from there. And Martinson said, make sure you're not the guy in the red uniform, because you're going to end up being the ensign who's dead on the ground. So we're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow night, guys. But anyway, I'm going to go spend some time with my wife now, because that's what I love about creating our own business. We can find time and spend time together when we need to, and it's great. So guys, I mean this more tonight than I say it all the time, and I hope it never becomes cliche, because I legitimately mean it, and I feel it when I say it. But we all only have 24 hours in a day and 7 days in a week. And for whatever reason, you see fit to come in and hang out with me for an hour or an hour and a half and become my friend and become our community. And I absolutely appreciate it. So thank you guys. And you know how it goes. As always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.